Hello and welcome to my review of Fast and Furious 7, also known as Furious 7. It's the seventh installment in the Fast and Furious franchise, and it pushes itself to the limit while also having to go through some changes. If you don't know, during the production of this movie, one of the stars, Paul Walker, sadly died in a car accident, so the script was rewritten, and there was even, I was reading up while watching the film, I paused it obviously, that there was even points where they considered to just completely scrapping the film altogether and just getting rid of it. They'd already spent millions on it, but they were considering scrapping it because they didn't know quite how to. That's why they pushed it back a year, because they didn't quite know how to do it without Paul, so they had to do some rewrites and stuff. And they were also considering, once they actually did shoot the finale, which is what we see now at the end of the film, they also considered ending the franchise there and there, with Paul Walker driving off into this with Brian driving off into the sunset, and that closing off the entire franchise, which would have been a good idea. And I'm fine with them continuing it, because they said that they weren't going to do any more unless they had ideas that warranted it. And obviously the idea of Dom turning against the rest is actually an idea that I quite liked, and I'm pretty sure everyone else also liked when it was being discussed as the idea for the 8th film in the series. But I'm glad they stick with it, because we are approaching the 9th installment release imminently soon. But even so, this is Fast and Furious 7, and I think here is where as of now at least, until I see Fast 9, this film is where the modern version of this, not modern series, the more actiony heists version of the film peaked at this one. I haven't seen 8 in a while, but I have to admit this one is definitely, when I always struggled when going to do the list for the end of this series, I always felt like I was going to struggle between putting 6 and 7. But after watching 7, I have to admit 7, what pushed me over to prefer 7 to 6 is not only the fact that the action is better, the dialogue's great, and the character interactions are so much funnier here. Looking at you, Tej, looking at you, Rome. But also just how fittingly and emotionally powerful the ending was, and how out of all the film series is to make you almost get emotional and cry, Fast and Furious was not one any of us ever expected, but they pulled it off. And that's clearly because he was such an important figure and someone that everyone on the team cared about, that they weren't going to conclude this film. They couldn't just sit and make this film without it being a perfect conclusion to his character and an emotional and perfect send-off, and the film does that. The ending of this film is just amazing. It's so heartfelt and perfect, and the song "See You Again," one of the best, it's a really, really good song. I recommend you listen to it. It was all over the charts when it came out, for good reason. But again, the action here is just top-notch. Locations are brilliant. Abu Dhabi, fantastic to see. Azerbaijan as well, brilliant. But again, this one is the first one since Tokyo Drift to not be directed by Justin Lin, and instead we have a director that I very much like because of his involvement in a certain franchise that we'll go over in a minute, Mr. James Wan, who also directed another film you may have heard of called Aquaman, but he also was the man who started a series that's near and dear to my heart. That its newest installment is coming out in less than a week. James Wan was the director of the original Saw, and he's also a horror icon for directing many and creating many horror franchises, including Saw being the very first one, so that's an interesting point. But so James Wan has done a 3 films that I think are his best work: Saw, Furious 7 and Aquaman. So and he's also going to be on Aquaman 2 as well. But again here the story is, it's really, really good actually, to be fair. The story-wise, it's really good to see Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham. And it's weird because I'm sat here watching this movie now, knowing that, and obviously hearing Hobbs talk so much shit about him, but knowing that in a few years' time that those guys are going to be in a buddy cop movie together, kicking the shit out of many people, and it being a fucking brilliant movie, is an interesting thought. But 7 is just an installment that's so action-packed, so well-written, and so much fun. I love the scenes in Abu Dhabi are brilliant, with the jumping the Lycan Hypersport through 3 fucking buildings. That shit, I don't care if it's not physically possible, that shit was fucking awesome, okay? And no one's gonna tell me other fucking wise. It's also good to see the return of composer Brian Tyler here. We'll talk more about the music later, but I just thought I'd mention that this brings back Brian Tyler while leaving behind Justin Lin. So that's an interesting fact for you. But yeah, again, once I said this movie, it's just so much. Mr. Nobody, brilliant character portrayed by Kurt Russell. The scene, another scene that's brilliant is where you jump in at. They drive the cars out of a plane. Fucking insane, but also fucking brilliant at the same fucking time. Like, that shit's fucking mentally insane. Like, that's brilliant. That's fucking amazing. It's such a good scene. And again, this film is just so action-packed. And as much as I've always said that I always will prefer the first two, the action here is brilliant, along with the cars are just as brilliant. And while there is no street races, unlike in 6, where there is a pure street race in it, that's made up for the fact that there's a bus in this movie. Yes, I know that's not a big thing with them, but I love buses, so seeing the bus in the movie is really fucking cool. But yeah, it's good to see the Charger out again. It's good to see Brian in a GTR, and it's a GTR. Brilliant fucking car. There's a deleted scene, because if you look in the credits, Gal Gadot is credited, the actress who plays Giselle, who was in 4, 5, and dies in 6. So she's credited in the film, like she's credited in the titles, but she's not actually in the movie, because she did film a deleted scene, which is a flashback. I actually watched the scene available on YouTube. I might link it in the description, might not, right? But yeah, it's easy. Just type Furious 7 Gal Gadot. It will be the first clip that comes up. It's a deleted scene where Letty goes to a hospital, and she flashback sees Giselle bringing her into the hospital on the hospital trolley thing, and I think that's a cool scene. I understand why it's cut, because it doesn't fit with the rest of the film. But if you're going to cut the scene, you might as well take it out of the credits of the film. Seriously, that was a... Whatever. But yeah, again, the action here is absolutely insane. Tej and Roman are on fucking top form here. They are absolutely hilarious as fuck. Especially Roman in the penthouse scene. My fucking god, that's the funniest shit. And then Tej's reaction is like, oh, I wish I didn't see that. That's just some funny shit, man. It's just so funny. And I just... Again, the arc that Brian goes through in this film from start to finish is brilliant. And again, it's good to see these people, they care about the movies they make, and it's great to see them. And a lot of people may be like, oh, it's bad that they continue making these movies after Paul Walker died, but I don't think the best way to honour someone is continue your work in their footsteps. And that's what they've been doing, by bringing better, more interesting stories to light. Obviously in 8, where he turns against his family, that's an interesting one, but I still think it's very much an enjoyable one. But we'll get to A when we get to it. Again, here it's so much well refined. I love the finale scene where they're playing hot potato with Ramsey. That's a brilliant scene. It's all just so well done. It's just, again, James Wan's direction here is brilliant. And like I said, 7 is such a good installment in this franchise, and it's hard to look past it being any better than 8, and it's really not. 8 is low down here. It's, for me, if you want to ask me what my favourite one of the heist era of these films is, it's 7, followed by 6, followed by 5, followed by 8, followed by 4. But 4 isn't really the heisty one, it's just the in-between film that needed to be made to bring the characters back. And again, 4 isn't boring, it's just lacks some polish in some areas, shall we say. But yeah, this is really where they start going over the top, and in also the next one. But here, that obviously it's known that driving the cars out of the plane is a bit fucking insane, but it's fucking cool. I don't fucking care. But yeah, again, everything's just so... it's good to see Tony Jaa here, a martial artist and parkour expert, show off his skills here. Great to see all that stuff. The cast is on top form. Again, let's just talk music, shall we? I think this film personally has the best soundtrack of the heist era films. Again, like I said, my favourite soundtrack is the first one. It goes 1 for soundtrack rating for me. It goes 1, 2, 7, 3, 6, 5, 4. So 4 is the weakest again. But yeah, the music here is pretty good. There's some good songs like GDFR Noodles Remix, Turn Down for What, Ride Out, and obviously the aforementioned See You Again by Charlie Puth and stuff. Yeah, a brilliant soundtrack overall. And the score, back with the boy Brian Tyler, who there's sort of this motif that he started using in the 5th one that I like to call the Fast and Furious theme motif. And it popped up here, it popped up very rarely in 6, obviously because it wasn't by Tyler, but there was like hints of it in set parts. But here and in 8, I'm pretty sure they use it in the main themes of each one. Obviously here the track's called Furious 7, and it's the track you'll be hearing right now in the background of this. But yeah, again, it's just a brilliant film. I think Fast and Furious 7 is as good as the series is going to get with the action highest ones. 9 looks good, but I don't think it's going to be as good as 7. If you ask me, this is the third best film in the whole series. I'm not going to be sure just yet, but we'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, that's Fast and Furious 7, also known as Furious 7, and it's been fun. We're now winding towards the end of this series. We've got 8 and Hobbs and Shaw left. I'm not going to review Fast and Furious 5 Races, the TV series, because I don't care. But yeah, thank you guys for sticking with me for this series. It's been fun. I've always loved Fast and Furious movies, and it's been great fun to cover them. And next up is another one of my personal favourite series. Is timed perfectly with the release of the next one coming at the end of this week. Sorry, no, next week even. So by the time we finish the series, it should be about there. I don't know if I don't skip a day, which I'm going to not do. Is the Saw franchise. So stay tuned for that. I have my opinions of them. And just a little bit of a warning, all the thumbnails of those are going to be the same red colour text, because there's no point doing different colours for this whole thing. Here they're different colours because each DVD has a different colour, so yeah. Thank you guys for watching, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to check the links and in the description below. Bye bye!